It's Larry from 7 Sage Law School Prep with another stick figure exam tip. This one is another tip on mastering issue spotting, and it is nitpick the living shit out of the facts on a final exam. This one tip can take you quite a ways. I had a tutoring student who didn't seem particularly promising. It was the one thing I thought he could remember, and he really used it well and got some good results, A-minuses in the class that I tutored him. What do I mean by this, and why is this important? We discussed in another class thinking colorable, trying to make stretch arguments based on the idea that lawyers have an ethical obligation to be zealous advocates, to do everything they can that's reasonable and won't get them sanctioned by a court to advance a client's interests. So basically the idea is that if the argument passes the laugh test and could possibly be considered and granted by a court, it's colorable and it's something that you want to try to assert. It also gets you more points because these stretch arguments are the ones that the bulk of your other classmates are not seeing and are not raising. Now the context for this is within the analysis section, when you're applying the facts to the law, that's where you're kind of looking to make colorable arguments, because where it makes sense, you're trying to flesh out the positions of both sides on a potential issue. But to be able to make colorable arguments, you have to stretch the facts. In other classes, I've said that there's a limit to this, but what's the way you think about doing this? It's honestly just one thing. It's close reading of text and nitpickiness. And our paragon for nitpickiness is this thing from President Clinton's deposition in 1998, leading to the whole impeachment trial. In the context of his deposition, he said this in response to a question: "It depends what the meaning of is. The non-lawyers out there will think to themselves, seriously? But I think a real lawyer gets this. If you're a lawyer, you say, totally, yes, seriously. If you need to say this, you say it. You argue like your life depends on it." Now, I want to drill down just a layer deeper. What does it mean to be nitpicky? Pickiness is finding ambiguity where others don't see it. The classic is like, ask your significant other. Ask your significant other. Argue with them a little bit and you will see nitpickiness in action. They were always finding, sorry honey, ambiguous statements or silences where you intend none and where somebody else might not see it. So with IRAC, the way to get to make colorable arguments is to make use of ambiguity, but the skill of nitpickiness is about digging up ambiguity where others don't see it. Now, of course, a key to this is you have to do this convincingly. If a professor makes a straight-up statement, you can't simply refute it. The professor says, "Superman is dead," period. Finding ambiguity is not then contradicting the professor and saying, "Superman is not dead." Let the dead be dead. But where there is some daylight, identify the ambiguity and make it convincing. In the practice questions we've drafted for the course, students are pointing out ambiguities that I never intended all the time. And at first I'm like, how dare you? But after that, how dare you passes, instantly I see that the student is right. There was ambiguity where I didn't mean for it, and I reward that. And we didn't have a graphic for ask your significant other, so here it is. How do I know I'm not taking this too far and being utterly stupid? How do I know that I'm not doing something like this, where the professor says Superman's dead and I'm trying to create ambiguity by saying that he's not? At first, you just don't. It's only in the context of taking practice exams and checking them with your peers, with a tutor, or with, say, our 7 Sage Law School prep materials. It's only in that context where you actually test yourself that you'll know if you're taking it too far. You just gotta go out there and do it.